Compilation of Serenity, Bliss-13. Composed by Great Master Shi Dao Chao. In the ninth great door there are 2 points. A. The contrast of bliss and sufferings, good and evil. B. The comparison of the length of lifespan over here and in that land. In the first paragraph there are 2 points. A. The contrast of bliss and sufferings, good and evil. B. The evidence from the Sutra of Immeasurable Lifespan is listed. Firstly, the contrast of bliss and sufferings, good and evil, are discussed. In this Saha world, there are sufferings and also happiness. In actuality, there is very little happiness, but lots of sufferings. The heavy ones are those who undergo burning pain in the 3 evil paths. The lighter ones are the period of warfare, illnesses in the man and devas realms, which happen continually from the long kalpas until now, without a halt. There is only a little enjoyment in the realms of man and devas, which resembles the bubbles, the lightnings, which arise and become extinct swiftly. That is why it is described as only sufferings and evils are experienced. On the contrary, in the Pure Land of Amitabha Buddha, Dharma sounds from the water, birds and forests can often be heard. The paths and teachings are clearly proclaimed in a distinct and pure way that enable living beings to attain enlightenment. Secondly, the sagely teaching is taken as evidence. In accord with the Shastra of Pure Land, it is thus stated, man and devas from the 10 directions who are born in that land are not different from the pure mind bodhisattvas. Pure mind bodhisattvas is the same as the bodhisattvas who have ascended the ground, because both have attained the patience of still extinction ultimately. They will not retreat in their practice. And according to the 48 vows in the Sutra of Immeasurable Lifespan, 5 benefits are mentioned. 1. In the first roll of the Sutra of Immeasurable Lifespan, it is thus stated, if the man and devas from the 10 directions who are born in my land are not replete with a golden form body, I will not certify to proper enlightenment. 2. It is thus stated, if the man and devas from the 10 directions who are born in my land are different in form and colors, some are handsome and others are ugly, I will not certify to proper enlightenment. 3. It is thus stated, if the man and devas from the 10 directions who are born in my land do not attain the wisdom of knowing the past lives, that they cannot even know the happenings in the hundreds of thousands, billion nayutas kalpas, I will not certify to proper enlightenment. 4. It is thus stated, if the man and devas from the 10 directions who are born in my land do not possess the spiritual penetration of ears, that they cannot even hear and uphold the teachings of the hundreds of thousands, billion nayutas Buddhas, I will not certify to proper enlightenment. 5. It is thus stated, if the man and devas from the 10 directions who are born in my land do not possess the wisdom of knowing others' mind, that they do not even know the mind of living beings in the hundreds of thousands, billion nayutas Buddha lands, I will not certify to proper enlightenment. It is impossible to fully mention all the beneficial matters in that land. As long as we vow to attain a rebirth, we will accomplish such inconceivability. That is why that is a land of only goodness and bliss, a land without sufferings and evils. Secondly, to clarify the length of lifespan. In this world, the longest we can live is about 100 years. Within 100 years, most people cannot live up to this ripe old age. Some pass away when they are born. Even there are those who die at a young age, or there are those who die or are aborted in the wombs. What is the reason for this? It is because of the different causes planted by living beings. As such, the rewards and retributions are not the same. That is why in the Nirvana Sutra, the 37th roll of the Northern Translation, the 34th roll of the Southern Translation, it is thus stated, by committing the black karma, the retributions are dark. By committing the white karma, the retributions are white. This is also the same for their pure karma or mixed karma. Moreover, in the Sutra of the Pure Rescue Bodhisattva, it is thus stated, a man who lives for 100 years spends half of his life sleeping. This will take away 50 years. For the remainder of 50 years of adolescence, he is unable to differentiate good and evil. After the age of 80, they are old and weak, enduring the sufferings of old age. Then only the remaining 15 years they are pressurized by the king and officers externally. They go for long warfare. Some are kept in jails. Internally, among the household affairs, there are all kinds of auspiciousness or calamity, getting involved in many matters. They live a life of confusion, and many a time they are seeking things as they often find themselves in lack of many things. If we calculate in this way, how much more time do they have to cultivate the path? After thinking about this, can we see how pitiful we are? How can we not despise over such a life? It is again stated in that sutra, a man who is born in the worldly realm give rise to 840 million thoughts in one day and night. Every evil thought will bring upon him an evil form body. The arising of 10 evil thoughts will bring upon him 10 lives of evil forms. 100 evil thoughts bring upon him 100 lives of evil forms. For a living being in one form body, if he gives rise to evil thoughts for 100 years, his evils will pervasively fill up the 3,000 lands to suffer in the evil form bodies. This is the retribution for the evil Dharma. This is also the same for the wholesome Dharma. The arising of one good thought brings upon him one life of good form. The arising of 100 good thoughts brings upon him 100 lives of good forms. Let us consider one living being who in his one life of 100 years gives rise to only good thoughts. His good form bodies will totally fill up the 3,000 lands. If a man recites Namo Amitabha Buddha for 10 years or 5 years, or more than that, later he will be born in the land of immeasurable lifespan. He will receive the Pure Land Dharma body as many as the unending Ganges sands. This is truly inconceivable. Now in this defiled land, the lifespan is very short. Very soon the life will be over. If he is born in the Pure Land of Amitabha Buddha, he will attain inconceivable long lifespan of infinity. That is why in the Sutra of Immeasurable Lifespan, the smaller sutra, the Buddha speaks of the Amitabha Buddha Sutra. It is thus stated, the Buddha told Shariputra, what is the reason for that Buddha to be called Amita? Shariputra, the man and devas from the 10 directions who are born in that land will attain a lifespan of billions of 100,000 kalpas, which is equivalent to the lifespan of the Buddha. That is why he is known as Amita. Everyone should understand this great benefit and vow to attain a rebirth. Moreover, in the Sutra of the Good King, the Honorable Emperor, it is thus stated, if there is a man who cultivates the path and desires to seek a rebirth in the western land of Amitabha Buddha, he recites Namo Amitabha Buddha for 1 day and 1 night, or 2 days, or 3 days, or 4 days, or 5 days, or until 6 or 7 days. Then halfway into practice he regrets of what he has practiced. On listening to the merits and virtues of the Good King Sutra, before he passes away, he will see 8 bodhisattvas fly to him to welcome him to the western land of Amitabha Buddha. He will not stop in his practice. From here onwards, the gathas from the great sutra are cited as evidence. The verses of praise on Amitabha Buddha is as follows. Living beings who are born in the land of serenity bliss are replete with the 32 marks of a great being. They are fully replete with wisdom as they deeply penetrate the profound Dharma. They can understand all the important paths of practice without obstructions. According to the individual potential of being blunt or sharp, they will attain the 3 patience or even the ineffable patience. They are all at ease as they are replete with the penetration of knowing the past lives and the 5 spiritual penetrations. They will not again fall into the mixed evil paths until their arrival at Buddhahood. The exceptions are those who are born in the world of 5 turbidities in other directions. They will reveal themselves like the great Shakyamuni Buddha. The attainment of a rebirth in serenity bliss enables us to accomplish the great benefits. That is why I sincerely vow to be born in that land. In the 10th great door there are 2 points. 1. Showing examples of authentication from the great sutra as evidence. 2. Explaining the meaning of transference of merits. Firstly, by referring to the Sutra of Immeasurable Lifespan, the following examples are stated as evidence. All the Buddhas in the 10 directions exhort us to return to the western land. The Bodhisattvas in the 10 directions seek to attain a rebirth in the land together. The man and devas from the 10 directions also wish to return. So we should know this is truly inconceivable. That is why in the praise of the great sutra, gathas in praise of Amitabha Buddha, it is thus stated, Amitabha Buddha is replete with inexhaustible spiritual strength. The immeasurable Buddhas in the 10 directions are praising him. In the eastern direction, innumerable bodhisattvas from the Buddha lands equivalent to the Ganges sands, go forth to pay respect to him. They also make offerings to the Buddha, the Bodhisattvas, the Shravakas, and the multitude of great assembly in the land of serenity bliss. They listen to the sutra teaching and accept it fully. They even proclaim them to transform all living beings. This is also the same for the other 9 directions. Secondly, an explanation on the meaning of transference. As all living beings are replete with the Buddha nature, everyone also wishes to accomplish Buddhahood. But according to our practice, as long as we have not fully practiced for 10,000 kalpas, we will still be dwelling in the burning realms. We cannot escape transmigration. That is why the sagely ones take pity on our long sufferings and exhort us to return to the Western land, to accomplish the great benefits. There are these 6 benefits of transference of merits. What are they? 1. The transference of the karma of our cultivations to seek to see Amitabha Buddha. After our arrival at that land, we will be replete with the 6 spiritual penetrations to relieve living beings. We will not be transmigrating on the 6 paths. 2. Transference of the causes towards fruitions. 3. Transference of the lower states towards the higher states. 4. The transference of slow into swift. This means we will no longer dwell in the worldly realm. 5. The transference of merits to all living beings with compassion, wishing that they will be directed towards wholesomeness. 6. The transference towards the mind of differentiation of whether to go forth or stay put. These are the merits of the 6 transferences. That is why in the first roll of the Great Sutra it is thus stated, living beings who are born in my land will naturally advance in their practice until their arrival in the Buddha path, far surpassing the conduct of the general practice of the various grounds. They will not face the problem of retrogression. So in the verses of praise of the Sutra of Immeasurable Lifespan, the Gathas in praise of Amitabha Buddha, it is thus stated, in the land of serenity bliss, the multitude of bodhisattvas and shravakas are most supreme. No one in this world is comparable to them. With the unobstructed eloquence of Shakyamuni Buddha, he tries to give a minor description of the Pure Land assemblies. He says that it is like a beggar who is standing by the side of a king, an emperor. There is no comparison at all. The emperor is again to be compared to the golden wheel-turning king, and in this way the comparison goes up until the heavenly king in the 6th heaven. The lower one is incomparable to the upper one in sequence. If we were to describe their adornment with the analogy of the heavenly beings, it is incomparable by thousands of millions kotis times. This comes forth all because of the strength of Dharmakara Bodhisattva's vows. I make obeisance to the honored one with a mind of great strength. In the 11th great door there are 2 points. 1. Exhorting all living beings to rely on the good-knowing advisors and direct their mind toward the Western land. 2. Differentiating the supremacy and inferiority of birth after passing away. 1. The exhortation to rely on the good-knowing advisors. According to the Dhammapada Sutra, it teaches about the good-knowing advisors for the living beings. It is thus stated, a bodhisattva by the name Bao Ming asked the Buddha, World-honored one, what is meant by a good-knowing advisor? The Buddha answered, a good-knowing advisor is able to speak for you the deep and profound Dharma, namely emptiness, no mark, no vows, the equality of all Dharma, no karma, no retribution, no cause and no effect, the ultimate unmoving thus, dwelling in genuineness. While dwelling in the ultimate emptiness, all the Dharma manifests unceasingly. This is the good-knowing advisor. A good-knowing advisor is your father, your mother, who nurtures your body of Bodhi. A good-knowing advisor is your eyes, as he is able to see all the good and evil paths. A good-knowing advisor is the great ship who rescues all of you to leave the seas of births and deaths. A good-knowing advisor is your rope, as he is able to pull all of you up from births and deaths. Again, he exhorts, even though he is a good-knowing advisor for the living beings, he should return to the Western land. Why is this so? It is because if he is staying in the burning realm, facing many good states and adversities, he may retreat from his practice. It is very difficult to leave. That is why Shariputra, who has brought forth the Bodhi mind to cultivate the Bodhisattva conduct for 60 kalpas, retreats from his practice on encountering an evil advisor. We should understand that it is very difficult to cultivate the path in this fiery realm. That is why the Buddha exhorts us to return to the Western Pure Land. Once we have arrived at the land, we will naturally advance swiftly in the 3 learnings. We will be replete with the myriad practices pervasively. That is why in the 2nd roll of the Sutra of Immeasurable Lifespan, it is thus stated, in the Pure Land of Amitabha Buddha, there is no way to commit the slightest evil, as tiny as a hair strand. 2. Next, we will differentiate the supremacy or inferiority of birth after the death of living beings. All the living beings in this realm are born in accord with the two karmas of good and evil after their death. Their births are often pressurized by the messengers of life, fake love, and afflictions. This has already happened for the innumerable kalpas, and no one can escape. If they can have faith and direct their mind to return to the Pure Land, practicing diligently on the mindfulness of Amitabha Buddha recitation, at their deathbed, Amitabha Buddha, together with Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva and the sagely assemblies, will bring on the shiny lotus platform to welcome them. Happily, the practitioners put their palms together to ascend the dais and follow behind the Buddha and the sagely assembly. In just an instant, they will arrive at the Pure Land. Everyone dwells in bliss until their attainment of Buddhahood. Moreover, all the living beings have committed all kinds of karma. There are 3 types of karma, namely the good karma, medium karma, and inferior karma. All of them have to face the judgment of King Yama. If they can have faith in the Buddha, with these causes and conditions they vow to be born in the Pure Land. Whatever conduct and karmas they have cultivated can be transferred to seek a rebirth in the Pure Land. At their deathbed, the Buddha will naturally come forth to welcome them. The King of Death cannot hinder this. In the 12th Great Door there is one point. Taking the Sutra of 10 Rebirths as evidence, the Buddha exhorts us to seek a rebirth. For example, the Buddha has spoken the rebirth in the land of Amitabha Buddha. He has spoken for the Great Assembly on the contemplation of the body, right mindfulness, liberation. In the Sutra of 10 Rebirth, it is thus stated. Ananda asked the Buddha, World-honored one, what is meant by the Dharma of the contemplation of the body for all living beings? Please teach us. The Buddha told Ananda, this is the Dharma on the contemplation of the body. Do not contemplate east and west. Do not contemplate north and south. Do not contemplate the 4 corners, the top and bottom. Do not contemplate the empty space. Do not contemplate the external conditions. Do not contemplate the internal conditions. Do not contemplate the form body. Do not contemplate the form sounds. Do not contemplate the form image. Only contemplate the absence of conditions. This is the genuine Dharma on the contemplation of the body. Other than this contemplation of the body, you can seek everywhere in the 10 directions, and you will not be able to find another Dharma to attain liberation. Again, the Buddha told Ananda, you have to contemplate your body, and naturally you will obtain the wholesome strength. You will dwell in right mindfulness naturally. You will naturally be liberated. Why is this so? For instance, when a man is diligent with a straight mind, he will obtain the proper liberation. For such a man, he does not seek liberation, yet liberation comes forth by itself. Again, Ananda asked the Buddha, World-honored one, in this way, if living beings in the world is able to attain liberation by dwelling in right mindfulness, there should not be the existence of hell, hungry ghosts, animals, the 3 evil paths. The Buddha told Ananda, why cannot the worldly living beings attain liberation? All the living beings are mostly deceitful. Very few are honest. None of them possess right mindfulness. Because of such causes and conditions, most of them will fall into hell. Very few will attain liberation. For example, some show filial piety towards their parents, teachers, and the Sangha, but internally they are actually unfilial. They look as though they are very diligent, but this is not the case internally. For such evil men, even though they have not undergone the retribution yet, the 3 evil paths are not far from them. As they are without right mindfulness, they cannot attain liberation. Ananda again asked the Buddha, if this is the case, what kind of good roots can they cultivate to obtain proper liberation? The Buddha told Ananda, listen carefully, I will speak for you now. There is the Dharma of 10 rebirth, which enable living beings to attain liberation. What are the 10? 1. Dwelling in the right mindfulness of contemplating the body, he is always happy to offer food and drinks, clothes to the Buddha and Sangha. Such a man will be born in the land of Amitabha Buddha. 2. Dwelling in right mindfulness, he offers the wonderfully good medicine to a sick monk and all living beings. Such a man will be born in the land of Amitabha Buddha. 3. Dwelling in right mindfulness, he does not even harm one life form. He is kind and compassionate to all living beings. Such a man will be born in the land of Amitabha Buddha. 4. Dwelling in right mindfulness, he receives the precepts from his teacher, and he cultivates the Brahman conduct with pure wisdom. He is always joyful, and he will be born in the land of Amitabha Buddha. 5. Dwelling in right mindfulness, he is filial to his teachers, to his parents. Respectfully, he serves his teachers and elders. He is not arrogant, and he will be born in the land of Amitabha Buddha. 6. Dwelling in right mindfulness, he visits the dwellings of the Sangha. He is respectful towards the pagodas, the temples. On hearing the Dharma, he understands one single meaning. He will be born in the land of Amitabha Buddha. 7. Dwelling in right mindfulness, he upholds the 8 precepts for 1 day and 1 night without transgressing even one precept. He will be born in the land of Amitabha Buddha. 8. Dwelling in the right mindfulness, if he can leave his household during the month or days of abstinence and go forth to the dwelling of the good teacher, he will be born in the land of Amitabha Buddha. 9. Dwelling in right mindfulness, he often upholds the pure precepts and cultivates dhyana diligently. He protects the Dharma by not committing foul mouth. If he can conduct himself in this way, he will be born in the land of Amitabha Buddha. 10. Dwelling in right mindfulness, he does not give rise to a mind to slander the unsurpassed path. He upholds the precepts diligently, and he also teaches the ignorant people. He circulates this Sutra Dharma pervasively to teach and transform immeasurable living beings. For people such like these, all of them will be born in the land of Amitabha Buddha. At that time, in the assembly, a bodhisattva by the name Mountainous and Oceanic Wisdom said to the Buddha, World-honored one, what are the wonderful and supremely blissful matters in Amitabha Buddha's land that all living beings want to attain a rebirth there? The Buddha told the bodhisattva of Mountainous and Oceanic Wisdom, you should stand up and put your palms together. Straighten your body to face the western direction. With right mindfulness, you contemplate the land of Amitabha Buddha, bringing forth the vows as you wish to see Amitabha Buddha. At that time, everyone in the great assembly stood up and placed their palms together. Together they contemplated Amitabha Buddha. At that time, Amitabha Buddha revealed the great spiritual penetration, emitting the great illumination to shine on the body of the bodhisattva of Mountainous and Oceanic Wisdom. At that time, the bodhisattva of Mountainous and Oceanic Wisdom and others could see the land of Amitabha Buddha instantly. They could see all the wonderfully adorned matters such as the 7 jewels, the 7 jewel mountains, the 7 jewel land, with the water, birds, and forests singing the Dharma sounds constantly. In that land there is a constant turning of Dharma daily. The people in that land do not learn the exterior matters, as they only learn the innate matter. They will talk about the Dharma, listen to the Dharma, and their mind understands the meaning of the Dharma. At that time, the bodhisattva of Mountainous and Oceanic Wisdom said to the Buddha, World-honored one, now that we all are able to see the wonderfully supreme benefits in that land, it is truly inconceivable. Now I wish all the living beings will be born in that land, and all of us also vow to be born in that land. The Buddha bestowed upon him the prediction as follows. Dwelling in right contemplation, dwelling in right mindfulness, all living beings can attain a rebirth in that land. If a good man or a good woman rightly has faith in this sutra, loves this sutra, exhorts and leads living beings by telling them about the sutra, the speakers and the listeners will all be born in the land of Amitabha Buddha. If there are such people, from today onwards I will send 25 bodhisattvas to protect them. Such a man will be free from sickness and afflictions. Human beings and non-human beings are unable to harm him. While he is walking, standing, sitting, or lying down, he will always be calm and peaceful throughout the days and nights. The bodhisattva of Mountainous and Oceanic Wisdom asked the Buddha, World-honored one, I am now paying high respect towards the honorable teaching of the Buddha. I do not dare to doubt it, but in this world many people like to slander the teaching. They do not believe in the sutra. What will happen to such people? The Buddha told the bodhisattva of Mountainous and Oceanic Wisdom, in future, in the Jambudvipa, if a bhikshu or a bhikshuni sees a man who recites the sutra and gets angry with him, in his mind he harbors slanderous thoughts. As he is slandering the proper Dharma, in the present life he will be down with acute illnesses. His body is incomplete as he may become deaf, blind, or mute. His body is swollen with ghostly bumps and he cannot sit or lie down at ease. He wishes to live, but he cannot live on. He wishes to die, but he is still not dead. Or he may fall death and he will fall into the hell to suffer great afflictions and suffering for 80,000 kalpas. Throughout the hundreds of thousands, million lives, he will not hear about food and water. After suffering in this way for a long time, he will be born among the cows, horses, pigs, and goats, which are slaughtered by men, undergoing extremely acute sufferings. After this, he will be born as a man. He will be born as the inferior man who is not at ease for hundreds of thousands, millions lives. He will forever be unable to hear the name of the triple gem. That is why among the unwise men, the faithless men, do not speak for them this sutra. May the merits of the compilation and circulation of the above teachings be bestowed upon all living beings pervasively. Firstly, we will bring forth the Bodhi mind to return to the Pure Land together. May all attain the Buddha path together. The second roll of the compilation of Serenely Bliss. Checked on 6th of September 2022. The end. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Namo Amitabha.